Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Adam, the owner and artist over at Custom Bait Shop. I hope everybody's doing well out there. Now, as an artist and a designer who's worked in tech for 25 plus years, I've worked in all sorts of different types of environments, from screen printing to different types of printmaking to sign making, all sorts of things like that. And so throughout all of that experience and graphic design experience, I've been able to take all of that experience together and combine it into a product that is going to literally change bait making and bait painting forever. And it's going to elevate the quality of bait making and bait painting forever as well. I would argue that my product is going to elevate most people's work to the same quality of the big brands that are out there producing baits and painting baits right now. I would even say that it's better than some of the big brand paint jobs that are out there now. All right, everybody, welcome back to my spray booth. Before we jump into my product demo, I want to give you a little bit of a history of what I know about stencil making and its use in bait making, at least, and in art. So I've just got a simple bait out here, a little bit of foil I was messing around with on it. And typically what bait makers will do, and artists, is they're always going to use something, some sort of tape, right? What you're trying to do is you're trying to block whatever you don't want to be sprayed, and then reveal the area that you do want to be sprayed. So tape has always been the most ideal thing. That's where Scotch, came out with the blue painter's tape, and it's always been wildly popular, and it still is for all sorts of different artists. But bait makers were using things for a long time, different types of fabrics and things like this, scale patterns and real wild, weird patterns and stuff like this from the fabric and textile industries. You've even seen, people taking stuff organic, all natural, baby, like this, right? And putting that on a bait and spraying through it and getting some sort of effect that is totally custom and, not repeatable. All the way down to just pieces of paper, people tearing pieces of paper and, doing weird stuff like that too, right? It's all about creativity in many ways when it comes to stencil making. It got a little bit more standardized when things like this came out, right? So Mylar stencils came out, and these are cool. They're flexible. You can push them on there a little bit more and bend them a little bit more. They're washable. You can throw them in water and clean them off and stuff like that. And they're pretty good all around. I mean, you can get a pretty good paint job out of them. So things have evolved to that as well. And then there's these what I call just like a loom, which is where people are laying down, different types of fabrics that recreate a fish scale pattern or something like that, and they lay weights down all around it, and then they paint or do different things, right? The latest that I've seen out there, which I don't actually have a sample of because I don't use them at all, is the 3D printed 3D mold, right? So people are 3D printing the reverse of a bait like this, and then they're setting the mold over it where it fits perfectly over the mold, and it has the stencil cut through it, and they can spray. So that's a little bit about what's out there in terms of what people have been using throughout the years to paint baits. What's the problem with all of these stencils? It's a quality problem, and that problem is overspray, right? Anytime that you're setting a stencil down like this and pulling on it or taping it to the bait or putting it underneath one of these things and setting weights on it, there's always the risk of overspray. And overspray reduces the quality of your overall paint job. Overspray is where the paint is spraying through the stencil and away from it, or over the stencil and on another part of it. It's paint getting where you don't want it to get, essentially, right? And it gets even more complex because if you're like me, your hands shake. I got shaky hands, and even more so if you've got an airbrush in your hand and you're shooting air at fabric, it's going to move around. So not only do you get overspray, but you've got all the elements to make overspray happen in most cases with these stencils. The other thing that happens too is distortion, right? So on a lot of these different stencils, as you're stretching it over the bait or twisting it, you know, over the contours and things like that, you'll see on a lot of paint jobs are clean scales here in the middle, and as the bait tapers, you'll see the scale pattern start to distort and twist and become small. Do the fish really care about that? We don't know, right? But in terms of a clean professional paint job, that's what you get with a lot of these stencils. So with all of these things, you're getting a quality issue, right? All right, everybody, so here it is, the big reveal of what I've been working on for the last few years straight. This is the Soft Stencil System by Custom Bait Shop. Top here, you've got a protective film that keeps dust and your dog hair or pet hair or whatever out of there. This is important. It's definitely important to keep, not throw out, and to always use when you're not using your stencils. Next, on the bottom down here, we've got our carrier mat. On top of that, we have a specially formulated piece of paper here that is made for the stenciling system that's above it here, and that is a non-stick type of material. Sticks well to the carrier sheet, sticks pretty good to the stencil, but not too much. And then we've got our stencil material on top of it, which is another specially formulated material. Now, all of these pieces come together in a soft stencil system, right? It's a process. That's essentially what you're buying when you buy this stencil system. You can't go out and just buy any you know, low tack vinyl or stencil making vinyl with adhesive on it. I've tested it for years. None of it works. It all does not work for what we're doing as bait makers. So that's important to know as you watch me go through this, right? Because you might be thinking, well, I can get that on Amazon, and didn't this guy just cut this on his wife's Cricut or something like that? You might think that in today's technology, but it's not true. These are all actually specially formulated for each other, and each one is assembled and put together. So when you pull a stencil off to use it, this is one that I've had, been using it for about 4 to 6 months now. It's still very usable. It's losing a little bit of its tack. You can see it's starting to pull a little bit of, you know, paint and stuff like that on the back of it, and it's starting to get old. But this is the soft stencil system. It's fantastic. It's flexible. It's strong. Right? It will tear if you rip on it too much, right? If you're crazy strong and you rip on it too much. It's transparent. Why is it transparent? We're going to get into that in a little bit. You can layer it. It's also able to be stacked and painted again. It's reusable. It doesn't tear off the paint behind it. It's lightweight, and it does not scratch up your paint jobs, right? So I'll show you what it looks like to pull off a new one. You got to be a little bit more gentle with it. They are a lot more sticky when you first get them, and you can tear them, so it's important to be careful. The most important thing about this stenciling system that you need to hear is that it's going to immediately elevate the quality of every bait painter's work out there. If you remember back in the stencil part of the stencil history demo that I gave in this video, I was talking about tape, right? Tape is the most valuable when it comes to masking, and the reason why is because it sticks. It sticks directly to it, and there's no overspray, and you do not get air and dust underneath it. And that creates clean lines, and that's really what this product is for, right? It's for the professional that wants really clean lines, really beautiful designs, and quality that is unmatched, really, out there in the bait making industry and in the stencil making industry for baits, right? Nobody's doing anything like this. I can guarantee you, you will be impressed. Take a look at my work, and you will see the quality difference. So everybody gets better instantly, and your work will sell, and your customers will be happy about that. So let's stick this one back down. This is kind of where they go when they're not being used. You got good aim. We put that down, and then I put my plastic sheet back over it. So that's the soft stencil system. This is what you would get when you order one. They can come in different sizes. Obviously, different patterns will be offered and different designs to come, but this is essentially what you'll receive. It'll come in a flat box where it can't be bent, and then you can essentially start using it right out of the box with zero preparation work, zero anything to do. You can just start painting and get going with it. So let's take a look at what that looks like. All right, y'all, so we're back here at the spray booth. I picked out one of these Vision 110. These are authentic Megabass blanks, the R+3. So I picked this out, put a little bit of prime, of course, behind all of it, and then a little bit of paint behind it so that you can see the stenciling system in action. So first thing I'll do is pull out my stencil, and you can see that you basically just lay it on the bait. It mounts on its own. This one is a little less sticky, so it might blow around a little bit more, and I'll show, you know, like what a brand new one looks like as well, so you can just kind of see the difference. And you can see I'm hands-free at this point, right? I'm not holding it, I'm not shaking, nothing. It's there on its own, and you'll see the paint come through it here in just a second. Get my airbrush set up, and let me just spray this guy here so see. Okay. No need to wait. No need to worry. Pull it off. Crystal clear lines. Right? Beautiful. A little bit of a scale effect there. And switch over and do the other side. Stick this one back up here. Let's look at it what a new one looks like, right? So these will probably be even cleaner lines, and you can see I'm just pulling this thing right off. It's like netting, right? And we're just gonna stick it. Now this one's brand new, so this one's gonna like really stick. That's important for you to see, because I want you to see that it's not pulling off the paint behind it. I'm able to rub it on, right? Get it on there good, no overspray. Nothing's getting up underneath there, right? You can blow at it all you want with your airbrush, shake your hand, your kid can walk by, whatever, and you know, you're not gonna have any problems. Let me get a little bit of paint on this one. You can see too with this scale pattern on here, you know, there's a lot of guys that spray down the edges to get different, you know, effects. They spray down one side and spray down the other. You can do the exact same thing with this. In fact, the material is even thicker than some stuff out there, so you can definitely spray down the side and get your shadow effects as well. So let's take a look at that. So now the last one was this stencil back here was a stencil that was used for, you know, 3 to 6 months. And you could see the lines on that one. They were still crisp. And then this one's brand new. And we're just going to go ahead and pull it off, right? It's got a lot more stick to it, right? And you can see there's no paint pull off behind all of that, right? And you can even see the lines are even crisper. Here's one that's been used for a little while. Still really crisp. Even better, right? So very, very high quality. Now, what we can really do is do some other cool stuff with it as well, right? So what I want to show is how you can layer these up. So in this particular stencil kit, this is the football scale pattern that I call. It has a highlight or a shadow on it, right? It's a very small, thin, partial piece of one of these scales. And this is the reason why it's transparent, and this is the reason why mounting it is so great. You can actually take that second set of scales and mount it offset exactly where you want it over the other scales. And this is part of the layering that you can do with some of this, right? And you can do some really cool effects, right? Now, it doesn't stop there. It gets even more wild than that. Let's say you wanted to take another stencil that's a soft stencil and lay it on top of this, right? So it's not the same. It doesn't even come in the same set, but you're just being creative at this point. You can lay this right over that other stencil, and you can spray through that, right? So now you're getting like really just kind of like wild style effects, right? So that's going to be on the back of the bait there. You can see I can just grab this. This is the window screen stencil, the smaller diamonds, and then this one comes right off, brand new. There's no paint being removed, no problems, and a totally unique pattern that you can't match anywhere else. That's just straight creativity right there and art, right? Done with these guys, you set them back on the carrier sheet like I showed over here. You can see the paint starting to show on this one. When that happens, you can take a little bit of water on a rag and you can wipe this off, right? So you can clean them, but you obviously, you want to take care of them. You don't want to rub on them real hard, and you don't want to um, uh, cause any problems with the adhesion in the back. So you can even clean them up. Look at that. All right, my friend. So what does this all look like when it's done, right? There you go. That's what it looks like. There's the football scale pattern. I've got some of my other custom patterns alongside of it as well, but that's the football scale that you're seeing there. You're seeing it actually on one side where I've laid it down, and then I've not even actually wrapped it around this bait. I've just set it down when I was doing other work, and you can actually match it up to the other scale pattern or offset it and do all sorts of really wild stuff. And so this is the outcome, right? This is a higher quality than any Mylar, any 3D mold, anything that you're holding or setting next to the bait that is not stuck directly to it is never going to achieve a result like that. And that's what you're buying when you get the soft stencil system. All right, guys. So what's even more exciting than all of this is that I'm going to be offering up exclusive designs and exclusive stencil systems for bait painters and also bait makers, right? So if you are a bait painter that's out there like B&A or WT Lure Works or River Lure Lady, Colorado Customs, Garrett's Customs, all of these really talented bait painters that are out there, or if you're like a bait maker that is producing and manufacturing baits, or the garage resin baits like Throwback and Hill Country, Gracely, Greenleaf, all these super talented bait makers out there that are doing the hard work. If you're any of these people, you can get an exclusive design like this, right? This is something that's one of my exclusive designs. This is one of my perch patterns. It's a layered system. It's got different stencils that come up underneath it with different colors. And we can work on something like this together, but for you. And the catch is that I'm never going to sell it to the public, right? It's only for you. You own the digital files. I keep them. I only make stencils for you. I only ship them to you. Nobody else can get them. So if you want really exclusive custom designs and you really want to up your quality of your paint jobs, please reach out to me. Let me know if we can help. I've got 25 years of graphic design and tech experience. I can pretty much make any stencil or any sort of artistic sort of thing you want to do. So that's what they look like. There's a special one right there. And yeah, reach out to me. Let's work together.